The workshop was great. It was extremely helpful to have Sarah and Daniel put research into a form that the everyday teacher could go and actually use to understand how we develop research questions, how to ask the big questions, how to do more than just questionnaires, which many of us think is research, and what the purpose of it is. And as Sarah kept saying, research is fun.
We've just done the PCS with Sarah Mercer and Daniel Shadi about doing research and how to do research as a practitioner. And I think it was really an eye-opener about that research is not just academic research or secondary like book research, but you can really do research for your own purposes and you shouldn't be afraid of. And in all my years of BSIC, this was one of the best pre-conference seminars I've ever been to.
Well, yeah, I was wonderfully surprised. It was a great workshop approach to the way they actually delivered previous workshops, and I liked it. It was very nice.
Can you mention the thing about being the first workshop? The thing that you mentioned.
This was the first workshop that I've ever come to at one of the BSIC conferences, or even IATEFL conferences, where they actually took this approach. Teachers want to come and share. Teachers want to come and be interactive. And I think they should, this collaborative approach that they took and working in Little Islands was fantastic.
I thought that was excellent stuff. Very good laying of foundation, so all the groundwork was there, and it was very interesting to hear other people's opinions about what was being discussed, what was being talked about. So that was great.
I also think it was an excellent session. I liked the fact that the issue of research was analyzed from various angles, from different perspectives, and that it all leads, this session is supposed to lead to something much, much more practical, something that each and every one of us can do in their own classrooms, in their own teaching practice.
This talk was very interesting, very structured, and it set everybody thinking about what research is, because we have our fixed ideas of what it is, and we also discussed that. But it's much broader than we thought. It can be conducted in an informal way, and we do it all the time actually without knowing it. So that's my first impression.
Okay, so I just want to give a little bit of feedback about the talk by Helen today. I found it really, really interesting, as I'm also into multicultural communication, and I think it's good to have the awareness that Helen was talking about, knowing when we have to think about how we communicate with other people, not only what we say, when we say, and how we say. And I found it really, really interesting.
Hi, I'm Mercedes Folinia, and I've just seen Helen Spencer's simulcast from Buenos Aires, Argentina, in my home. A great example of how cultural awareness is crucial in business English, and how trainers' focus needs to be on cultural issues. Well, go on enjoying the Business English Conference in Malta. We are here in Buenos Aires following you. Thank you very much.
So this morning I attended the plenary with Helen, and it was very interesting to listen to her and to especially, understand how often we make assumptions when she said, deliver a course. We've all heard that phrase, that terminology, and everybody's got a different understanding of that. So how important is it that we double check, that we double click on what is really meant by a commonly used term? So that really resonated with me.
The other thing we discussed very much is our own teaching quality, but not so much how can we improve it, but how can we tell the clients that we are worth the money we're spending. So self-marketing, self-quality assurance. How do I measure my own quality of teaching? How do I prove to the client that I'm worth the money that they're paying for us?
So conferences provide me with that opportunity of networking in the real world, in that physical world. And so I think that, BSIG annual event is essential because we meet people, we network with people that we trust, network with people that we see eye to eye with. We network with people that come with ideas that maybe we've thought about but we haven't confirmed, or maybe that we contrast with, and that helps us with reflection and deciding what direction we're
Hi,
moving
I'm
in.
Chia-Sun Chong and I'm in Malta for the BSIC conference, and we've just had our day 2 opening plenary by Alessia Corgo on business and English as a lingua franca. Now, I'm a big proponent of English as a lingua franca, and we've been talking about this for the last decade or so, 2 decades. And I think in the business English sector, a lot of business English trainers who come for BSIG often have said, you know, this is nothing new for business English trainers. We all know from our clients that business English is the language of trade, the language of industry, the language of business, and we know this firsthand. But I think what Alessia has done today is to show us not just the concept of BELF, or English as a lingua franca, but how this can be applied in a practical sense to the classroom. She talked about translingualism and how instead of treating our learners' first language like some kind of dirty concept that should not be included in the English language classroom, she talked about including it because it's a sense of identity for them, but also because it supports interactions and because it's reality. When you look at interactions in the business context, English is not always used exclusively. Translingualism is happily used and alive, and it's a concept that I think is reflecting reality, but it's not talked about enough in amongst teachers, in conferences, and definitely in training. So thank you, Alessia, for bringing up the concept of code meshing and translingualism.
Hi there, I'm Heather Hansen, and we just had the honor and privilege of seeing Alessia talk about business English as a lingua franca, and I was so excited to see that she was slotted as a plenary position at this conference because I believe it's such an important topic, and it's something that we all need to be aware of and be working into our teaching practices and how we interact and the discussions that we have with our students and clients. So I loved the talk, Alessia. Thank you so much for being here and talking about these important issues.
It feels like when you enter a library and you look at all the books and you are kind of very overpowered by all the knowledge, everything there is to know, and all the things that remain to be learned. So knowing the people here, the quality of the conference, the quality of the conversation, of the workshops, it's exactly the same feeling. It's like walking in a living encyclopedia. And there's so much to learn, and there's so many opportunities to grow. So thank you very much. It was a wonderful experience, and I will come again.